It's been a few weeks. Welcome back to Supportive Service Dogs. My name is Charlie, and I am the handler of Barbie, my service animal. In the service dog space, I feel like there's a huge market for puppies and people training, and a lot of people want to tune into that. But at a certain point, puppies and dogs and trained and successful service dogs grow up and move on. And I feel like I see less of that on my timeline. I see less people continuing to post, and I think that's something that's kind of unfortunate, but I understand. It could be that at that time, a lot of people that I remember starting my service dog with no longer make content, aren't around, or not mutuals anymore, things like that. It's something that we need to see more. Dogs that have kind of hit past the point of being a prospect or even a service dog in training, and you are simply a service dog that's continuing to train. That's where we're at 2.5 years with my sweet girl Barbie. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about our current training regimen and kind of what me and her are doing and kind of what I've learned to keep things fresh and to keep things moving for her as my service animal. I work from home doing this. My spouse works from home. Our school's nearby, and so I'm home most of the time. And so a lot of the time she is doing service work from home. And so sometimes that means that it's maybe just like a me thing. She always performs beautifully, but I am like, okay, well, we haven't been out in the public in several weeks, and will she, understand, or will she behave? And she always does. But in order to kind of quell that and to work on that, because I think it's something that needs to be practiced, if not every day, several times a week. But for us, we're doing 3 hours a day, where I'm calling it like strictly training and desensitization. And so we're doing it for 3 hours every single day at least. This is also encouraging me, who's also recovering from agoraphobia, to go out more and do more things, but this also means things that we're doing at home. So I thought I would walk you guys through the things that I would fill my 3 hours of training with her on. So obviously there's training. I could continue to work on the tasks, and sometimes we do that. Sometimes we work on like control and leaving it and sitting, and we'll just kind of run those basic commands. Sometimes it really is just that simple. I like to go outside in my front area. It's a very busy area, and we ignore the cars, we ignore the birds, we ignore the cats, we ignore everything outside. And so that's something we can do. I have an entire like desensitization playlist that I will play with for her at times. And this is especially wonderful if I'm like not able to go out and about. But I can play city sounds or fireworks on the TV, and she's accustomed to those sounds. And when we do encounter those, she's not worrying about that. But in addition to that, I'm focusing also on going out. And I've kind of like hit this point in my life, and like, let me know if you feel the same way. I am so tired of hanging out at like just like capitalist establishments. I used to go to like Target a lot just to kind of hang out, and a lot of people do, to like look at books, to look at clothes, just kind of meander for the day. But with everything going on and stuff like that, I don't want to do that anymore. And so for us, a lot of it is going to the library. The library is busy enough, it's quite enough. The other day we spent 5 hours at the library, and she did wonderfully. She had exposure to kids. We've had people come up to her. There's beeping sounds. We usually sit as close to the door as we can, so there's people walking past her at all times. We work on placing underneath the chair, lots of things. In addition, there's some coffee shops that offer free refills, and so sometimes if maybe a library is not a perfect choice, maybe that's a better choice. We also have a park nearby, and it has a dog park in the back and then the playground in the front, so we can let kiddo play and we can kind of see dogs from distance, or kind of walk around and see dogs at a distance. And so that's another place, in addition to our regular routine. So I'm making sure, because for a while I would get nervous. I've ran into some accessibility issues and things like that at different doctor's offices. And so now kind of what I've started doing is like calling in advance and just being like, hi, I just like want to let you guys know I have a service animal, and kind of feel them out maybe sometimes I have to educate them. Like I had to educate my cardiologist office most recently about like certifications, things like that. So I often call first, but for a long time, I think it gave me so much anxiety, like the issues that I was having, that it was like any doctor's appointment, I was like, I'm just going to leave her home because I don't want to deal with not being able to get access to medical care because somebody is ignorant and doesn't understand like the law. And now I'm kind of over that, and I'm like, she needs to go to these appointments. This is like places that she needs to be, and she's never going to know how to be and work there unless she goes there. And she does a wonderful job. And I mean, I'm saying all this, she's done weeks at Disney World. I've been at the hospital for close to a week, and she visited me from like sun up to sunset whenever visiting hours were closed, because I don't know if you guys know this, but service dogs aren't like if you're in the hospital, you can't really have your service dog with you because you cannot go outside typically. So I had to have like a dual handler, and he would just bring her to me and she would hang out with me during the day and then go home. And so she's used to different environments, like I said, hospital, Disney, coffee shops. We've done so many different stores. We've done like the Floridian Mall. We've done so many different things. She's been so many different places. But I think it's just about the consistency and the exposure. And I think that's right now like the biggest thing that we're working on. There are other tasks that maybe I would like to introduce, but I feel at this point that we're at a really good point and I like what we're doing. And I just want to make sure that she is absolutely a bomb-proof service dog and that we are doing everything we can to ensure her success, whether that be time or leaving the house and doing something that's maybe like out of my orbit in order to give her the best chance and the best experience as a service animal. So like I said, we're working on 3+ hours a day and making sure that some of that is outside time exposure. Sometimes that's her walking alongside me on the leash, and we do different things on the walk. Like we've been working on lately, when we hit a stop sign for like a crosswalk, she has to sit until I say let's go. And so that's other things that we do and that we work on. You can hear her just jingling because she's hearing like those keywords that we work on. But yeah, that's what we've been working on. I'm very, very proud of her, and I think it's just something that like I can't preach enough to a future prospective service dog handler, is consistency. Long after they are like quote unquote task trained, like you have to be working them every single day in some capacity, and more than just task training, exposure training always. You're always learning new things. I was really weird in the service dog community when like somebody's like really quick to be like, look, they graduated, they're no longer a service dog in training. And like for some legal reasons in some states, like I totally understand, but sometimes I feel like we're really quick to like pull that away. And we forget to talk about how I think service dogs are always in training to some extent if you're doing it the right way. And so yeah, that's just kind of what I want to check in with and let you guys know that's what it looks like at a 2.5-year-old service dog. And she does great. She works with me all the time. She's right over here. I have no plans to retire her or anything. I know some people go through multiple prospects. Fortunately, that has not been what we've had to do. Barbie's been great. And again, it's just about I want perfection. And I know that's not something that like can be achieved, but I want as close as possible. I want her to be structured. I want her to understand what the rules are, and she thrives with rules. And so I don't know, it's just a process that you learn, and that you learn your dog's personality. And that's why I always say that like, even if you do get some type of program dog, that's my Nintendo Switch saying, go work out. But even if you get your dog, it's going to go off here in a second, so I'm going to hurry up and wrap this up. But if you get your dog from like a started group or like a started service animal, there's still work that you have to do. The work never stops. Like that's like the message of this entire video. The work never stops. Even if you have a service dog, a fully trained service dog, work never stops. All right, I will talk to you guys soon. I cannot promise when the next episode will be, but if you have any recommendations for videos that you would like to see specifically on the topic of service dogs, because like I said, I'm making at least 2 supportive service dog podcasts a month, and so I'm keeping up on that. Let me know if there's anything else that you want to see. I know I want to talk about more about like my individual tasking and the things like that, why I chose a service dog, why I think some people should not choose a service dog. That I have ideas, but I specifically did want to talk about this today because, you know, I'm gonna have in 5 to 6 months, I'm going to have a 3-year-old service animal, and I will check in then and let you guys kind of know where we're at then. So yeah, I will talk to you guys soon, and I will see you guys also for that update far in the future. But if you're interested in other content that I make beauty, I make disability, I make home, I make gardening, TikTok, gardening videos. I'm like, they're all TikToks. It's like, did you ever have like that grandparent that's like, it's a Crayola? It's like, no matter what crayon it was, it's like, it's a Crayola. It's like, yes, but rose art is different. But I don't know, just differences in how people speak and things like that. But I notice like older people, like they like to refer to it as like the brand's name, like Dixie cups, things like that, no matter what kind of cup it is. But anyway, now I'm just rambling. Talk to you guys soon. Go train your dog and have a wonderful day.